All right, guys, here we are with Game 3 of what has been an absolutely epic finals at the Winter League Top 8 finale. I'm Steven.
And I'm Zach.
And you are here at the Covenant store watching Chris O'Neill on the right, playing Ben Ruggles on the left. You've probably seen them play more than a few times if you've been keeping up with the games here. This is the 6th game now that they've played. Ben is on HB, Chris is on Reyna, and this is going to be for all the peanuts.
Yep.
We saw Ben last game kind of fail to a lack of knowledge, I would say, about power shutdown and in the combo. Now, certainly it's not easy to avoid, but at the same time, there are certain things you can do to prevent it from happening. And Ben rushing out to 5 points and then not playing anything in addition to Plascrete and causing problems.
Yep, he got burned.
So over here we have Wall Static and Heimdall with Bioroid Efficiency resed up. What a great, great card, both of those things, especially when paired together. Against something like a Reyna deck, it's going to do a lot of work for you. I've been making a remote over there. And a lot of liberated account in Reyna over here. And that's always an interesting economy card for me as an Anarch player as well. I both love it and hate it. Sometimes it's worthless.
Mr. Lee, in all the games we've seen Chris play in these finals, we haven't seen a Mr. Lee.
First time, and I love the Mr. Lee splash to dig for Plascretes and other tools. It's really just good right now. I would say Mr. Lee is a really solid splash. I'm a big fan of Mr. Lee and Hostage for the same influence. You put one Mr. Lee, one Hostage for 4, and then you have access to Lee and Katie Jones, and if there's any other connections that you have, yeah.
And that's really good.
They're all there.
Instead of having a dead card, you basically just open up your options.
Yes, indeed. All right, so Chris using Mr. Lee pretty heavily here. Doesn't need Plascretes, which is funny because HB Fast Advance is nothing about Scorched.
Nope, they just like them points.
I've been going to install and gain 2, basically saying this is an agenda. Come on over.
Yep. He's got money, so we'll see what he does. Not resin, he's letting him access, and it's a Jackson. He's going to go ahead and trash it, which usually makes a lot of sense. I don't like having Jackson around.
Well, can't wait to draw.
Ben's got a restructure.
There's the restructure.
That's good news. He's just sitting on a pile of cash.
Plays the restructure. Tons of cash. And there's really no rush here. This is, we know, the final game. You don't have to get to any point spread.
You just have to win the game.
It's one game to rule them all. And both players at 15 match points.
Did Chris already score 2 points? That happened without
That's
me
a
looking?
1 point. That's Gia hands that he grabbed over there.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, I can't see it. It looks like it's a 1-pointer. Armitage co-busting. It's becoming a very familiar story with these decks. We've seen them all both in action a lot.
Yeah, and the thing about Armitage is that of all the economy cards, Katie, Liberated, etc., Armitage is the one that can get you from poor to not poor.
Fast.
Yeah. Liberated, if you have to click up to get to 6 to then play it and use it, you've wasted so much time already, and sometimes you need a few credits just to get in. Get things on the board.
Looks like Ben.
And Ben triggering accelerated beta test.
This time he's putting the ice in front of the archives,
yes,
unlike the last game when Chris scored 3 points off of it.
Yes, he is.
And you know what's interesting is based on the history and because of the double elimination scenario where they're playing so many games, it would make you think that Ben has agendas in his discard.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't. So you may take some brain damage to go see, and then it's actually nothing.
And he is. That's what he's doing right now. He's taking a look at archives. There goes the Og. Man, that's not what you want to see. And he gets an efficiency committee. 2 points is definitely worth the brain damage.
I would agree. Oh, at this stage of the game.
Yeah. And, HB on the Scorched path is actually pretty solid if they ever want to go that direction, just because sometimes you do have to make those choices to lower your total hand size. They just have an issue with tagging, ultimately.
It's hard to get all the Scorch pieces in and the tags.
Thank goodness. It'd be terrifying if the old cyborgs could biotic labor a bunch and then do all sorts of tricks.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Chris's runner deck here has had some very different starts and different approaches. He's setting up a rig this time. The first game he set up a rig. The second game he really didn't ever. Interesting to see how different his deck plays every time. Whereas I feel like every time I've seen Ben run, it's kind of been
pretty
the
much
same
all
story.
the same corp cards. Yeah. Of course, with Jackson, allowing you to filter your deck so much, so effectively.
You can kind of see what you want to see.
Yeah, not terribly.
It's really pretty impressive.
Different.
How consistent these corp decks are.
Yeah. And with agendas, taking up a good bit of them, the space for, interesting cards is lower than I think it is in a runner deck.
I think I may have just seen Ben put another agenda in the discard pile.
It looks like he just balled up and did it.
And that's interesting. I mean, how much brain damage is Chris willing to take to check? I don't think you check one card.
No, you can't check one here.
We'll see.
There's just no reason to think. And we see the Ice Carver come out. I love that card. It was a big core card, and then it kind of fell out of favor. Checking HQ for not much. Just one to get in. You may as well take a peek.
He's trying and trying.
Back over to Ben. Going to take some money and add it to his giant dragon's hoard of cash.
Money for days.
Install over HQ. Install and advance once. Can Chris get in? 6 credits. He's got, looks like 10 on Armitage over there. Katie's got nothing to give. You got to think that's like an Arcology or something.
Wow.
Ooh, first will be 2 bishops. And then that gives him access to clone shipping Yogg if he needs to.
Interesting.
Take 2.
All right. I think he's going to go for it.
Best bet here are Victors. Roto Turret, going to break for 2. And Eli. All right. So he's going to be able to break in and find it. I would love it if this were a trap.
Could be one of the, yep.
No, it was the Arcology.
That's
so
solid.
he gets to trash it. I think he
solid.
definitely needed to do that, or next turn it's out of hand.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, he installed 2 Kaises to do that, spent a bunch of money to get there, and then ultimately just trashed a card that really wasn't doing... It's the kind of card that you don't really want to have to go after, but you kind of have to.
You have to. It's kind of like a Sand, a little bit cheaper, but even more than that, it was loaded up, it was advanced. He was ready to score out of hand next turn. He had a Vitruvius ready to go.
Yeah, and, I feel like that's a signal of the hand. Obviously, put another ice in front of his hand there. But when you see that he's advancing that, it may mean he's got nothing else to do. But also, it's very likely he's got an agenda ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely got an agenda in there. And we know that from looking at his hand.
It's really fascinating to watch these HB players who never have to install an agenda and hope they don't, it's like you just score from hand so much. It's
the
crazy.
Entire time. Arcology, it was a really interesting choice for them. It gave them essentially the risky agenda install option without any of the risk.
Wow, look at this.
There's the remote going wild. When you got that much money, why wouldn't you?
I'm curious what Ben drawing at the end of his turn there again. I'm next time I talk to him, I'm going to ask him about that.
It's just wrong. We've talked about it. It's not the correct thing to do.
He did draw into a biotic, however, so that means he's going to be able to score out of hand if Chris doesn't get agendas out.
You have to wonder, if he had seen the biotic first in his first click, would it have changed him installing heavy on that remote in preparation for scoring next turn?
I absolutely think so.
Knowing he can score right out of hand, so it's a good lesson.
That's why you draw. We'll see what happens here.
And Chris going to take a peek on R&D. And Bioroid Efficiency flipping that thing back over since it was broken.
All right.
3 on Katie. Ben's still only at 2 points. And man, you really see the strength of HB Fast Advance here. And we often joke, it's not Fast Advance in the sense of it's fast. It's basically score out of hand advance.
Yeah. That's really what it is.
It's all the money cards that you can have. And
it's triggering.
Triggering. If he did sneak an agenda in there earlier, I would be
Wow.
I would be not triggering that beta test because it might make Chris check his archives. So that agenda that he was bluffing earlier might actually get discovered now.
Absolutely.
Chris
Well, it's really
wants to
interesting
take a
too,
look,
'cause
man.
I just don't feel with the money that I don't know if it's necessary to trigger it.
Nope.
And if you do, if that was an agenda, I'm surprised you didn't put some eyes in front of his archives.
Spinning 6. Getting in.
I was at 10. You had 10? You spent 6? Yeah, 4. Yeah, which I have 4. Okay, sorry. Make a double check.
And we'll take a look.
What? Oh,
He-
I guess I put one there.
He
He
forgot
does
he had
get
an
the
agenda there.
efficiency, yep.
He forgot he had an agenda.
Boy, Ben coming all the way to the finals, and then I feel like a lot of mistakes we're seeing here.
Unfortunately for him, yeah. That's forgetting you have an agenda in your disco pile is
Somewhat
not what you
important,
want.
I would say. I mean, if he doesn't beta test there, I don't think Chris has any reason to check archives for the rest of the game.
No. Advancing twice. That's
It's the arcology there.
yeah. It's gonna let him score out of hand if he at least once, if not twice. I love that story into the clicks. I didn't like that card at first, but I am really coming around to it,
It's
seeing
so
it in
good,
action.
yeah.
It's really,
Really good.
unfortunate you forgot that agenda in the
Yeah.
discard pile. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That card, that arcology is so good out of HB. Like I said, it really gives you out of hand the entire game if you want it, biotics or not.
4 points out of it due to that. That's 10. The ding. Actually, when I beta test, that one wasn't there. Oh, you just threw one there.
All right, so Chris looking at Mr. Lee here.
Good, he's out of it.
Kind of needs to go down there and trash that, or he can try to hit the hand and pull it.
It's so rough with trying to go down and trash that.
I don't know. I think you maybe have to just go try to fetch from hand.
I mean, the interesting part of it, right, is let's say that's a 3-point agenda. You don't know, but let's just say it is.
That would be amazing. That's game on the line,
It's
yeah.
a game if you don't get to it. So it's kind of one of those situations where you're forcing the runner to do something.
Yes. Yeah, and that was really, really good play on Ben's part. If that's an arcology, which it likely is, there's no risk there. Make him come down that really taxing server. If it's a 3-pointer and he doesn't run it, even if he does, I think he can probably get stuffed. Looking at the credit differentials here, 2 unres pieces of ice. You've got to imagine that Ben can keep Chris out of the server and then score a 3-pointer for the game.
Even if he doesn't keep him out of the server, if he just makes him use
Yep.
most of his effort, we'll see what happens. Run his
All right,
hand.
running HQ, the right choice, ultimately not really knowing the things that we know.
All right, we got
Ichi
Ichi.
comes in. And Ice Carver saving this issue. That Ice Carver, that looks really nasty.
Looks like we have a victor here.
Victor 5 in the code gate, not what you want to see.
Well,
But he's going to probably
2 happens. Okay, trace 2. I'll leave 2.
trace 2, pay 1 to avoid the counter. And the run ends.
All right, Ben gets another go at this. He's
Paying 2 to
rezzing.
res arcology.
Use it. Still get a credit. Then advance it.
All right.
And there's a Vitruvius.
Wow, we're at a 6-point game here, 6-5.
6. Oh my goodness.
Comes down to it. What next person to score really is probably going to be the winner. The only way is if Chris got a 1.
Chris has to get somewhere and see some cards. I don't know if that is R&D or if it's HQ, and he's got to make that choice now. And he has made the choice for R&D.
Man, that's big.
And look at those bishops doing work here. Yogg's going to go right through this server. And we know we got a Heimdall 2.0 that can't be rezzed down there.
I'll run here. Launches. You don't have
Yep. Absolutely the right call here.
I'll trash the clone ship. Get my dog.
Going to get Yogg.
Yeah.
He's going to slide right through. Is it an agenda?
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
No agenda. Wow.
Game 3. Alright.
And Ben gaining 3.
Seal it for the game.
Tries it again,
wow,
and there it
gets
is.
Because Ben had it on the next turn. He just needed the money to score
He
the
just
agenda.
needed the cash.
Yeah. What
Unbelievable.
a game. So it came down to the very last moment.
The very last moment, 6 games later, we have Chris O'Neill is the Winter Top 8 champion. Congratulations, Chris, and congrats to Ben Ruggles for getting there and coming undefeated all the way through a double elimination tournament. Not an easy feat whatsoever. If you want to catch these guys and others at our weekly tournaments, you can tune in Wednesday night at 6:30 Central Standard Time, teamcovenant.com/TV, and we all hang out there, talk about Netrunner, and watch some games. And if you want to support us in all that we're doing, then we would love that. You can buy a set of data tokens, you can buy some some packs, some subscriptions. What else, Zach? You want to buy anything else?
Buy it all.
Write a blog, talk about
write a blog.
Netrunner, write a status, do something.
You can leave us a great comment on this video.
Yeah, do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. We love you. We love Netrunner, and we'll see you next time.